Hello and welcome. I'm Barbara O'Neill, and today we're going to uncover some surprising truths about water that you might not know. If you're over 40, staying healthy and hydrated is more crucial than ever. We'll dive into why water is vital for our bodies, its essential functions, how much you should really be drinking each day, and some practical tips to easily stay hydrated. Did you know that 70% of people make huge mistakes with hydration? You don't want to be one of them. Plus, stick around until the end. We have an amazing surprise that will make this journey even more worthwhile. So let's get started and discover how you can keep your body at its best with the power of water.
Do we need to drink water? The million-dollar question. Why do we need to drink water? Well, let me give you a few pieces of information that will help you understand why we do need to drink water and why it must be water, not juice, not cordial, not soda drinks, not tea, not coffee, but water. We urinate out, we're going to say a quart loss every day. So we urinate out of our kidneys. We urinate out 1.5 quart loss. Out of our skin, and most people are surprised at this, we lose 0.5 of a quart loss. Out of our colon, we lose 0.3 of a quart loss. This is in 24-hour period. Out of our lungs, we lose 0.2 of a quart loss. So considering in a day, that is 2.5 quart loss. We need to be drinking at least 8 glasses of water a day. That's 4 glasses per quart. That takes us to 2 quarts a day when we have 8 glasses of water a day. What about the other 0.5? Well, that's coming in our fruits, in our vegetables, maybe herb teas, maybe a vegetable juice through the day. And that quart is important. That 8 glasses of water a day is important because every single body functions requires water. And water alone will do it. We had a pathologist do our program. He said, "You'll find this interesting, Barbara. We did studies on caffeine. And we discovered that it takes, from 1 cup of coffee, it takes 5 glasses of water to make up for the dehydrating agents in a cup of coffee." Wow, that quite surprised me. But when you consider that, I think most Americans, most Australians are dehydrated. So I always ask a person, how much water do you drink a day? These are some of the answers I get. Not enough. Not much. I don't drink water or my legs swell. I don't drink water because I'm visiting the bathroom too much. Those last 2 answers tell me that the water's not getting inside the cell. This indicates a deeper issue where the body isn't absorbing water efficiently, often due to a lack of essential minerals or an imbalance in the body's cells. Drinking adequate water is crucial for maintaining hydration levels, supporting digestion, and ensuring the proper functioning of muscles and joints. Moreover, water helps regulate body temperature and flushes out toxins through sweat and urine. Without enough water, we can experience dehydration symptoms like headaches, fatigue, and dizziness. Chronic dehydration can lead to more severe health problems, including kidney stones and urinary tract infections. To maximize the benefits of water, it's best to drink it throughout the day rather than all at once. Start your day with a glass of water, keep a bottle handy, and listen to your body's signals. Remember, staying hydrated is a simple yet vital part of maintaining overall health and well-being. And what he found was the first place that water is lost is the stomach. Because lining our stomach, we have a thick mucosa lining, and in that thick mucosa lining is sodium bicarbonate. And that sodium bicarbonate is in the stomach lining, so that if any stomach acid tries to go through, it's immediately negated or neutralised so that the hydrochloric acid doesn't eat out our stomach. But one of the first places that water is taken from in dehydration is the lining of the stomach. And so when someone is dehydrated, they can have a very thin stomach lining. And when there's a very thin stomach lining, there's no sodium bicarbonate in there. And so the stomach acid can easily start to eat its way through. And then because there's damage, our body's own microorganisms change roles and become the clean-up team. Remember Monday, where we looked at the cycle of life? And they change roles and become the clean-up team. Remember what its name is? Bacteria. And they've given them a name in the stomach. It's called Helicobacter. You've heard of it? Yes. Helicobacter pylori. Helicobacter pylori is blamed for stomach ulcers. Students, what's the cause of stomach ulcers? Well, the number one, it's actually dehydration. And Dr. B claimed that at the writing of his book to have cured 3,000 cases of stomach ulcer with water alone. Because the first place that the water is taken from is the lining of the stomach. And the first place it goes to is the lining of the stomach. So a glass of water, half an hour before the meal, the first thing it'll do is it'll thicken that mucosa lining on the stomach. So there's a couple of doctors from Australia, Western Australia, that got a Nobel Prize for discovering that Helicobacter pylori causes stomach ulcers. They were even putting Helicobacter pylori into someone's stomach and, yeah, stomach ulcer. But you know what my question is? Well, were they dehydrated? How much water were they drinking? Are they coffee drinkers? We had a pathologist attend our program. He said, we did studies on coffee and we found it took 5 glasses of water to make up for the dehydrating agents in 1 cup of coffee. Now, when you look at that, I think you'd agree with me, the nation's dehydrated. And Dr. B's book, One of the Body's Many Cries for Water, it actually explains why all of these ailments are happening. The other title to his book is, he's not sick, he's thirsty. The other title to his book is, subtitle, Don't Treat Thirst with Medications. Because when you do take medications, what does that do to your hydration status? Lessens it even more. I know as a psychiatric nurse, you'd be talking to the patients and you can tell their mouth is dry by the way they're talking. So what do? Oh, Coke, coffee. Is that helping? Not at all. In fact, it's contributing to the fact that they're still in the psychiatric hospital because our brain is 85% water. From the neck down, we're 75% water. Our brain is a hydroelectric system. No hydro, no electricity. A person can actually develop negative thought patterns in a dehydrated brain. And most people know that their headache possibly is due to dehydration. My husband rang me one day, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, he was driving. He said, I don't know what's the matter with me, I've got a migraine. I can hardly drive. So you know what my first question always is? How much water have you drank? And he went, oh dear. He said, I haven't drank any water since I woke up this morning. So he woke up in the morning and had water. He had breakfast, must have got busy, had lunch, and now we are 3 in the afternoon. He is chronically dehydrated. So I said to him, please don't drink a whole glass of water. Please just have half a glass of water. A few minutes later, another half glass of water. A few minutes later, let it little by little go in. He said after the first glass, the migraine went to a headache, and after the second glass, the headache went to a dull ache, and after the third glass, he had no headache. Now, isn't it nice if you can resolve every headache just with water? But unfortunately, not every headache is just due to dehydration.
Hydration does more than just relieve headaches. It plays a crucial role in overall health. Proper water intake helps regulate body temperature, aids digestion, and keeps our skin healthy. In clinical settings, I've seen how dehydration can complicate recovery and worsen existing health issues. Patients recovering from surgery or managing chronic illnesses often overlook drinking enough water, focusing mainly on medications. Yet increasing water intake can significantly speed up recovery and improve their overall well-being. In my experience as a psychiatric nurse, I've noticed how dehydration can affect mental health. Even mild dehydration can lead to mood swings and problems with thinking clearly. This shows how closely connected physical and mental health are, with water being essential for both.
And the pancreas releases 2 hormones into the blood, and it also releases hormones into the gut, or enzymes into the gut, hormones into the blood. What are the hormones going into the blood from the pancreas? It's insulin and glucagon. Both of these hormones require a large amount of water to be able to be made properly. So if someone's dehydrated, can you see that can contribute to diabetes? From the gut, they're great big long names, so I'm just going to give you, there's about 4 enzymes that are released to finalise the digestion of our food. These enzymes, there's one enzyme that finalises starch digestion, there's another enzyme that finalises fat digestion, and that's your polyunsaturated, because remember your saturated is broken down under the tongue, the enzyme under the tongue. And there are two enzymes that finalise protein digestion, and that's why when someone has pancreatic cancer, they often die very quickly and they die of malnutrition, because the pancreas can't release those enzymes to finalise digestion. And if digestion's not finalised, the food can't get out of the gut and into the blood.
In pancreatic cancer, when the pancreas can't release these enzymes, it causes big problems because the body can't absorb nutrients properly. This leads to people losing weight quickly and not getting enough nutrients, which can be really dangerous if it's not treated right away. The pancreas doesn't just help with digestion, it also releases insulin and glucagon into the blood. These hormones are super important because they control how much sugar is in our blood. Insulin helps cells use sugar for energy or store it for later, while glucagon tells the body to release stored sugar when we need more energy. So when the pancreas isn't working right, it affects both digestion and how our body manages energy. It's really important to find ways to help the pancreas work better, especially in cases like cancer, to keep people healthy and strong.
Some people say, but Barbara, I'm drinking all my water and I've still got constipation. So you know what my response to that is? Well, it's not the water. Must be something else. And notice with the man with the Helicobacter problem in his stomach, he was drinking 2 litres of water a day, but he was drinking it at the wrong time. That's why the description here is use of water. There's a time to use water and there's a time not to use water. Now, if someone's thirsty after a meal, by all means have a few mouthfuls of water. A few mouths of water is not going to greatly reduce the effectiveness of the hydrochloric acid. But most people that need to drink with their meals is because they sat to the meal dehydrated. So I say to parents, get the children drinking. The mother, the father, look at the clock. Half an hour, 3/4 of an hour before the meal. Get them to drink. Get them to drink then, because the mother knows that if they don't, they're going to want to drink straight after their meals. And if they want to drink after their meals, I would say just have a few mouthfuls, sweetheart. Just a few mouthfuls. So in that way, you're protecting the digestion of your children. But as you'll see tomorrow, the front part of our brain is not fully developed till we're 30. This is foresight. Children don't have foresight. You have to be the foresight for them. What often happens, especially with stomach, is that a couple of hours after the meal, there's often a hunger feeling. But it's usually dehydration, because the body it's not often able to decipher between thirst and hunger. And so always have water. And remember, children say they're starving when they're bored. And it's in a mother heart to want to give the child what it needs. You see, it's a hard thing for a mother to go from here in giving the baby every single requirement to coming to be a toddler and starting to encourage the child to think for themselves a little bit and not give them every single thing they desire. So I would say to my children, oh, it's time for water. Must be one of the body's many cries for water. Time for water. I don't want water. Oh, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. Because if you don't drink water, you can't have lunch. Your choice. See, put the choice back on them. Choice back on them. And then when everyone's sitting to lunch and they're not there, oh, I'm hungry. I know, sweetheart. See, you're always very kind. So if you drink this water now, I'll let you have your lunch in 15 minutes. You know, often you only have to do that once or twice and they get the message. Drink water.
This approach teaches children the importance of staying hydrated without directly forcing them. It also helps them understand that their body's signals can sometimes be misleading, especially when it comes to distinguishing between hunger and thirst. As children grow older, it becomes crucial to instill healthy habits that they can carry into adulthood. Consistent hydration is one of these habits. Encouraging them to drink water at the right times ensures their digestive system functions optimally and helps them avoid issues like constipation. By allowing children to make choices about their hydration, you're helping them develop a sense of responsibility and autonomy. This method also reduces resistance, as children are more likely to comply when they feel they have some control over their decisions. Parents can model this behavior by following the same hydration practices themselves. When children see their parents drinking water regularly, especially before meals, they are more likely to adopt the habit. It's a simple but effective way to lead by example.
Not drinking enough water. The body goes into a form of drought management. He explains the drought management. He says the hormone that's released to help with the drought management is histamine. So when a person is dehydrated, the histamine levels go high. And if someone has an allergy, they're given antihistamines. Perhaps the allergy is purely because they're dehydrated. The brain cells. 85% of the brain is water. So when we're dehydrated, the brain cells shrink, and that hurts. Dr. Batman Gehaldig, he found that if someone had a headache or migraine, they just need water. Remember what he did? Every 15 minutes, another glass of water, another glass of water. That's not the only cause of a headache, but it's easy to use the process of elimination, and no matter what the problem, try water first. Little by little, get that water in. Right at the end of each bronchiole is a little bunch of grapes that looks like this, and they're the alveoli. And it's in the alveoli where we have the gaseous exchange. So over each alveoli, there's a little blood capillary network. And when we breathe in, and these little alveoli fill up with oxygen, right at that split second, there's an exchange. The blood drops the carbon dioxide into the alveoli and picks up the oxygen, and then we breathe out the carbon dioxide. But Dr. B explains how there's a minuscule droplet of water in every alveoli. And because of the surface tension property of water, when we breathe out, the water enables that little alveoli to collapse. Then you can breathe in your full quota of oxygen. So if we're dehydrated, we're not getting as much oxygen as we could get if we were drinking adequate water. So water affects every single part of our body. The magnesium helps the water to come inside the cell. Calcium. Calcium's a very important mineral. We looked at that earlier, but it can't get into the cell by itself. It needs vitamin D. When vitamin D is present, the calcium is pulled inside the cell. And remember, the calcium's the king. All the other minerals piggyback on the back of calcium when it's taken into the cell. Glucose can't get into the cell by itself. It needs insulin. When insulin's present, glucose is pulled inside the cell. Now let me give you a scenario here. Let's say we've got someone, they're not drinking much water, and when they do drink water, they're not very happy because their feet swell. They're not having any greens, they don't like greens. The salt they're having is the sodium chloride, so they're not getting enough magnesium, so when they do drink, the water can't get into the cell. The person doesn't want skin cancer, so they stay right out of the sun, so they're lacking vitamin D, which means their calcium and minerals can't get into the cell. They're trying to lose weight, so they're on the high carbohydrate diet. They've eliminated all fat. Do you know what fat does? It gives the feeling of satiation or satisfaction. It gives that full feeling. That's why when people are on a fat-free diet, they're often eating all day long, lots of carbohydrates. Because he's eating so many carbohydrates, his pancreas is getting worn out. And because his pancreas is getting worn out, he's not making enough insulin, and so the glucose can't get into the cell. And the body says, what are we going to do now? So the body says, I know, we'll force it into the cell. What's that called? There's high blood pressure. High blood pressure can have many causes. High blood pressure can be caused because of dehydration, because of mineral deficiency, because of vitamin D deficiency, because of a high carbohydrate diet, because of margarine in the diet, which is a toxic fat which inhibits the insulin and the glucose getting into the cell. That's why the investigation needs to be begun. On page 127 of the Ministry of Healing, one of my favourite health books, the author says, in case of sickness, the cause should be ascertained. How do you determine the cause? You compare the person's life with these laws of health, and then often you see what the problem is. So the four most vital elements needed for life: oxygen, water, sodium, potassium. But remember, we need to take in sodium the way God planned us to.
Thank you for joining me today to discuss the use of water. I hope you found this information useful and practical for your health journey. If you have any questions or need more details, please ask in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. Remember to like this video, subscribe to our channel for more health insights, and check out our other videos for more tips on living a healthy life.